Everyone, Quilting with Harriet. Okay, now we did threads, needles, tension, and we're ready to quilt. So let's put what we learned into action here. So I got my machine ready, I threaded it, and my thread is not yet in the needle. I oiled and I brushed out my hook area. So now that I have the oil in there, I have the thread out of the needle. I'm going to run my machine and let that hook cycle around a couple of times and get that oil into the right places. So let me bring you over here to the quilt. And like I said in our tension lesson, when I am doing a cotton quilt, I'm going to use a cotton fabric because it matches the quilt. And I like to have my extra on the side. I don't like to put an extra little piece and clip it onto my rails and hold it with my belly. I just don't think that that's the perfect tension that I have on my quilt top. So I like to have everything the same all the way through. So I am going to just use my needle up and down button, and I'm just going to move that hook and let that oil get saturated where it needs to go. 1 drop of oil on the bobbin hook, every bobbin change. Okay, that should be good. Now I'm going to make sure, I'm going to have to turn my lights on because I can't see the needle without turning on my lights. So I'm going to make sure I have a clean cut here. And I am just going to thread my needle. Oh, come on. Oh, it's split on me. Let me get another clean cut. Now, a little trick, sometimes you can run that thread right down the groove of your needle and it just slides right into that hole. Okay, so now I am going to bring up my bobbin thread. Oops, I don't have a bobbin in there. Can't bring it up. I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread that we checked yesterday. Snapped in there, and now I'm going to test my tension. So some curvy quilting, some circles. All right, now, as I mentioned yesterday, if you have put too much oil on your bobbin hook, you might get some little loops underneath on the backing. So that's what I'm going to check for right now if I have any kind of issues on my backing. Now, I know it's a little bit hard for you to see. I do have loops. Oh, I wonder if I can get in there with the camera and really show you that. Let me try and zoom in because I want you to see what I'm talking about. Maybe if I turn the lights out. Don't know. There's a loop. I got a loop right. Oh, I'm coming out of this thing here. I don't want to come out. I don't want to pull it too tight. All right. I have got loops down here underneath. So I know that I've got too much bobbin, too much oil. I guess I went a little heavy. So let's try it until we get those loops gone. Let's see what this does. Yep, my loops are gone. All right, that means the oil's in there and we are good to go. All right, so now let's get this basted and get ready for an edge to edge. So I'm going to bring my machine down to this side. And let's see if I can come. I've got a glare, so let me turn off these lights. That's better. Okay. So I am going to baste my machine. I have a basting stitch on here. I'm going to pull my quilt top back. And there's a light thread. Okay. I'm going to put on my horizontal channel lock. and my baste button. Now, if you don't have a baste button, you can put your machine down to like 4 or 5 stitches per inch and baste. What we want to do is we want a plumb line to line the quilt top up parallel to our bars. So I am at a 1/2 inch basting. So I took a back stitch at the front of the machine, and now I'm just doing a couple, let's see, so you can see, little back stitches, and then I turn it off. I like to pull my thread above the needle so I'm not putting any deflection on the needle. I drive over a little bit, I grab my thread, I come back to where I stopped, needle down and up, and bring my machine away again. And I cut all 3 threads. And I'll do that again and zoom you in when I do the quilt top. So now, and if you don't have a horizontal, if you don't have a computer on your machine, then what you want to get is a channel lock. This is a channel lock. It will lock your wheel so it only moves this way and not this way. So when you're going across your quilt, your channel lock, if you don't have a computer, will go on to, I'll turn you around here, and let's take my channel lock off. It will go on to the wheel on your machine. So it's going to go around this wheel here like that. And now I can move my machine left to right, but I have resistance. When I push the machine, it's not going anywhere. So that's a horizontal spool. That's a channel lock, and that's for if you don't have a computer, you would use that on your machine. So let's go back to the other side, and we're going to baste the quilt top down. Okay, here we go. You guys, I got a new camera. What do you think? Hit the like button if you like it. Leave me a comment and tell me how much better it is. I think it's awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to put the quilt top right up to that line. Move it over to the side, even with my rolled up quilt here. Now you can put pins in this if you're not comfortable doing it freehand. Get a pin to show you. So if you want to, I would put a pin maybe an inch away from the top here, so you have no chance of running over your pin. So now what I'm going to do is I still have my basting stitch on. I took my horizontal lock off, but you can put it back on. And I'm basting within the 1/4 of an inch for my binding. So a couple stitches forward, a couple back to lock it. Now just going right in that binding area, all the way across my quilt. And I stop there. Okay, I said I would bring you in here, so let me do that so you can see what I'm doing with my thread. If you're new to long arming, this is how I get my thread up. So I take my hand above the needle and I just pull some thread, let it go, bring my machine away, grab that thread, bring it back to where I stopped, needle down, needle up, and now you should have 3 threads at the top of your machine. And then we just snip all those just close to the bottom there. I pulled too much thread. Okay. And that's how I end my threads with my machine. I hope that makes sense for you. Okay. So now that I've got that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my machine all the way up so I can set my edge to edge. And let me take off my clamp, do that, and clamp on the other side. It's off. And now I'm going to roll. So let me tell you why my quilt is all the way down here. I have a 24-inch frame, and I have all this space. So if my quilt was up here, I'm bending. I'm bending my back. It's not straight anymore. So I don't need to be driving my machine and bending my back all the way up here. Your best quilting area is right in front of you where your eyes can see, your elbows are almost at 90 degrees, you're comfortable, you're not hurting your body. And if you're quilting all day, you don't want to be bending and stretching. So I bring my quilt top down right here where, look, I still have plenty of room. I'm not stretching my back. So I bring it right here and I do all my work down here to get it ready. And then when I'm ready to set up my area for my edge to edge, now I'm going to roll it up. So let's go. I put an extra wheel on the bottom bar, on this bar here, so I can roll back and forth if I need to. That makes it a lot easier as well. Okay, so now I'm going to put my clamps on. And as I did in another video, I use the OXO chip clips on top of my clamp. Here's my regular clamp. And I just put the chip clip in there. And then I put it here. Now, I put it on my backing. You can put it on your backing and your batting, but do not put a clamp on your top. Because if you tighten up that clamp, if you can see this seam right here, if I tighten that clamp, it's going to give me a curve in here. So you don't want to put any pressure on the quilt top, just on the quilt batting and backing. So let me grab this clamp, put that on, and there we go. I'll put it on the backing and batting there, now it's nice and tight. Okay, so I am also going to baste this side, because if I'm using an edge to edge, I want my sides to be basted as well, so it doesn't get caught in my foot. And I am using my glide foot, but trust me, your quilt can get caught in there as well. So to be on the safe side, use the basting, put your basting on the side as well. And that's within my 1/4 inch. And now what I'm going to do is the bobbin that I wound yesterday for the tension was actually extra, just a metal bobbin, because I wanted to show you tension with the metal bobbin. What I really like to use is a pre-wound bobbin, and we talked about that. I have the spring in my bobbin case, and this is a pre-wound bobbin. So I'm checking my tension. It feels pretty good, and I will be checking it again so that I don't have any issues when I roll my quilt. I don't want any surprises. So I'm going to get another piece of cotton, put it over here, and the thread that I'm using for the top is what I'm going to be using. This is a good time when you're basting your quilt to use up bobbins that are almost empty. So, if you're running out of bobbins, just use those to baste your quilt, top and bottom, when you get to the bottom too. And then you'll empty your bobbin faster. So I'm going to take off my basting stitch now, because I want to check my tension with the real thread size that I'm going to use, stitch that I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to take my finger under here. I'm going to run my finger nice and smooth. Got it. First time. Okay. And there's no loops under there. There's no anything under there. So I am good with this bobbin. I'm going to get my thread out and I'm going to baste the other side now. So put my basting stitch back on, and I only baste the area that I have in my frame. I don't baste the whole quilt and then come back and quilt it. So now my quilt is ready to put a pattern on. And while I'm down here, I'm going to set my first area right at the top there. And then I'm going to put on my horizontal lock because I want to make sure that I'm nice and straight across the top. And then I'm going to set my second area. There we go. And this quilt is 54. I believe it was 78. So I'm going to set it at 86. I like to give it a little extra because I'm going to crop it down at the bottom anyway. So let me bring you over to my designs here and we'll look and see what I'm going to use. I have no idea what I'm going to use on this. Or maybe I do, I don't know. File, design, open. And let's get the camera straight where we can see. Oh, sorry. Okay, there we go. There we go. And I will zoom you in so you can see that screen. Okay, so let's see. I have to go to, I'm on my thumb drive and my creative stitches. And she has $5 pantos a couple of times a month. You might want to get on her newsletter. And that's how I built up this whole library of patterns, is by being on her newsletter and seeing when she had a sale on. So I've got a lot of, I'm going to show you the quilt here. I've got a lot of straight lines. So what I want to do is I want to do something with a lot of curves. So let's go back to the Pro Stitcher. Okay, and now I'm going to look and see what I want to put on this quilt. So I'm going to move just a little bit more so you can see the quilts here, the frame. Okay, there we go. That's good. All right, now I said that I want something with curves, and the fabric itself has flowers on it. So maybe if I can find something with flowers that has some curves in it, that's what I'm going to choose. So let's see. Well, that's a really pretty one too. Maybe I'll do that one. But I think I've done one of hers already with this. So let's see. You know, when you have too many choices, it's just so hard to choose. So hard to choose. Well, I kind of like that fanfare. That's pretty. And there it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, that pattern is 10 inches in height. I think I'm going to change it to 12 so I have less rolling to do. So the first thing I'm going to go to is modify, resize. I'm going to put my lock on so the height and width changes at the same time. And then I'm going to change to the height, and I'm going to put 12 in the height so the width will change with it. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go back to repeat and fill. Oh my. Okay, so look at that gap in there. I'm going to close that gap. I'm going to go vertical, gap, minus. And let me zoom you in here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm closing up that space in between the rows. There we go. That's almost the same spacing. That's what's in there. And now I'm going to go refresh again. And I'm going to add some more vertical rows. Now, if I stop there, I've got a gap at the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to do one more, and that filled in. Now I'm going to go horizontal plus, and maybe do another one just for good measure. Okay, so that looks good. I don't see a big space in between my rows, and I've covered the outside. Now I'm going to go modify, crop, come over here, outside, and I'm going to close those edges. Look at that. Perfect. Let me zoom in on that so you can see. Now I'm going to go baseline, because we always want a baseline after we set up our pattern. And I'm going to go File, Save. And I want to save the selected because once I set my area, I don't need it anymore. So there's no reason to set my workspace. So I go File, Save, Selected. And I have a folder here called A Current. If you put a 1 or an A, it pops up towards the top. So I added a folder by selecting the Add folder. And I just typed it in. And now it says Repeat Fanfare, which is the design that I have, and I'm going to say save, and it's saving my file. So now if I shut my machine down, then I'm going to be able to find it tomorrow, and I can start again. So I do have videos on how to shut down your machine and how to start again the next day. I don't want to leave you lost anywhere, so if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll be more than happy to go over anything. Just watch it again. This is all practice. This is all doing it over and over again, and then you just become proficient. You don't even think about what you're doing. It just is a natural. So I hope you enjoyed these tutorials where we've gone over tension, we've talked about threads, we've talked about needles, and I oiled and I basted and I set up a pattern. Now I am ready to quilt this quilt, and then I do have a video with cropping the bottom. So if you're interested in seeing how to finish your quilt after you're done, then check out that video as well. I'll link it to this one. If I can figure out how to do it, because I'm new at this, I'm going to put some handouts in the comments in the more, where it says more ... I'll put some handouts that I used to teach from, and you can have those papers in front of you as a guide to how do I set my tension, what needle do I use, why do I have to tweak the needle timing. It'll just give you some more information, a lot of good information. It took a long time to write those papers, so please look at them. I will get those up in a few days, so check back. I am done with this series. I will come back with more how-to videos. I'm having a great time doing this. I hope you are learning from these. Please hit the like button. This is a class that I'm not getting paid for, but this just helps me with the channel and the analytics. I don't understand all of it yet. I'm learning, but please hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. All right. I will see you next time when we come back with more videos. Bye.